Good evening, guys. Alright, so you can have a pillow nearby. You might not end up using it, but you can definitely have it nearby as always. We're going to start in our seated position, either legs crossed or legs out in the front. Legs can be slightly bent even, whatever feels most comfortable. Again, pillow can be just nearby, even if it feels comfortable to put your hands on the pillow so you can relax. Whatever you need to do so you can kind of let the day go. You're going to close your eyes. Take a nice deep inhale. As you do that, lift those shoulders up towards the ceiling, lengthening that spine. Exhale, sink down into your hips, into the ground. The pillow can be nice to have on your lap as you do this because you can kind of feel yourself sinking into the pillow if you choose to have it there. Again, lifting up and down. Up and down. Good. Up, down. Good. Deep inhales. Exhale. Sorry. For those who are watching, sorry, I'm laughing. My husband is the DJ in the background and he's trying to give him a coded message to turn the music down, but it didn't work very well. Inhale up and down. It's okay, it's good to laugh, right? It laughs the stress away. Good, lengthen up and down. As you inhale up on this one, go ahead and roll those shoulders forward all the way so you kind of have a hunched back. And then as you exhale, go ahead and roll them back, opening up those shoulders. So rounding forward and back. Nice long inhales and exhales still. Kind of notice if your shoulders, if one is rotating more easily than the other. This is a passive stretch or rotation, but even then sometimes you can notice little misalignments or shoulders that maybe aren't rotating as easily as the other side. Good, back and forth, round and round. Good, one more forward and back. Now I want you to put your left hand on the ground. You're going to take your right hand and you're going to walk this left hand to kind of the end of your mat, if it feels comfortable. You don't have to do this part, but it'll make this stretch feel a little bit deeper, reaching up to the side. Now we're going to be doing this again in a second. Same kind of stretch. The only difference is we're going to be in a straddle position with our legs. So this is just to get the side part warmed up, and then we're going to add in a stretch for our legs. Right hand comes down, left hand comes up and over. Breathe. Let's do one more time on each side. Lengthening that side and then starting to curve. So it's almost like I'm reaching up and away. So I have that straight line and then I'm going to let my hand curve around. Good, up, reach, and then curve. All right, now we're going to take our legs into a straddle position, and if you do have a pillow nearby, if you have really tight hamstrings, you'll probably want to sit on the pillow because doing a straddle hold, and if you don't have a pillow nearby, you can still do this stretch without it. You just have to keep your legs kind of bent. So you have a bent leg straddle hold. You don't have to be flat on the ground in a really wide straddle, especially if you can't do this where you're comfortably sitting upright. So for me, super comfortable to sit upright. For everybody who struggles with hamstring tightness, they're going to probably round their back and look a little more like this as they try to lean forward, but you want to have a long, lengthened spine as you're seated. So if that's the case, Bend those heels, or bend those knees, drag those heels a little bit closer to your body, and that'll make it a lot more comfortable. Or sit on a pillow and do that as well if it's really tight. Because you're going to be doing, again, the same thing here. You're going to bring your hand out to the side and lengthen over again. Same thing we just did, just a different leg position. Breathe. Come down. Lift. Now we're going to change it up on this next one, because instead of going out to the side, we're going to come onto the inside of our leg. So I'm going to lengthen my hand towards my heel, and I can put my hand on the ground at any point. It doesn't have to stretch all the way to my foot. So I can put my hand anywhere that feels comfortable, and then I'm going to reach again. Now if I'm feeling really more flexible, I can come down onto my forearm, and I can reach towards these toes. Otherwise, I can rest my hand even on my quad. I can rest it on my shin, okay, if my hand doesn't feel comfortable on the ground. Reach and breathe. Go ahead and come up. If your legs are bent, it would be the same thing. You would be doing the exact same thing here, resting or hand, or even going down further. Breathe. And up. All right, now hands are gonna go behind you. And we normally do this one at the end, but we're gonna do it right now. Instead, changing it up a little bit. Hands are gonna come behind your back, and we're doing that 90-90 stretch. If you've taken any class with me before, you know how much I love this stretch. So both knees, your goal here is to get both knees on the ground. And you can see right now, see how this one's kind of hovering? Well, it's not the goal, but you wanna get it as close to the ground as possible. And so my one hip, this one, is not quite warmed up to the movement quite yet, so I'm gonna let it hover. So I'm gonna let it kind of just hover above, that's okay. But my goal by the end of all of this today is hopefully my knees, both of them, will be comfortable enough to touch. You'll notice on this side, see how this one has a much better range of motion. And again, this one does not want to touch the ground. So we're just hovering back and forth. Kind of notice this back leg, really, it won't touch the ground fully, but this front leg, see how now it's starting to warm up and now it's coming towards the ground. So sometimes one side will just take longer to warm up than the other side. Back and forth. Noticing to make sure you're making that 90-degree angle and your heel is not coming in towards this knee. You don't want to make a triangle. You want to make a square with those legs. Rotate again. We're going to do one more rotation per side. The hips are one of those, well, all the areas, but the hips are one of those that you can definitely tell when they've started to loosen up and warm up. It's such an obvious visual. So mine, I can very easily tell when it's finally started to warm up. You'll be able to see it as we work through this. All right, coming forward, you're going to come onto your back. So if you're not on your mat like I was, go ahead and come onto your mat. You're going to go onto your back. Your feet are going to be about hip width apart. Hands and fingers spread out on the ground. You're going to push through your heels, push your hips up towards the ceiling. Because if we want to have healthy hips, then we need to have healthy functioning glutes. So we work with both of them together. So you're going to lift up, squeeze those glutes up towards the ceiling. Now right now I'm not crunching my back. That's what it would look like if I was crunching my back. So you see how I'm kind of squeezing and I'm crunching that back a little bit. I want to, here's my midline, right? Or here's where I'm straight. I want to take it past that, but I'm using my glutes to do it. I'm not coming here and then crunching my back up. That's not what I'm trying to do. So you're going to come back down, rest, come to that straight position, and then use those glutes to squeeze towards the ceiling, not crunching that low back. Breathe and come down. Resting, come back up. Squeeze those glutes. Breathe, breathe, breathe. This is really important if you do hip thrusts as well with weight. You always need to come past that straight line. So our natural ability is to stop here because we're straight, but you need to push those glutes past that point and really get them focused and isolated. Come down, breathe. Let's do 2 more. Up. Good, and down. Breathe up. Squeeze those glutes. And down. Now we are going to be doing this again, but we're going to do something else in between our next round of those. So you're going to come up and you're going to turn all the way around onto all 4. We haven't done hip rotations in quite some time. This is one of my favorite exercises for the hip. In all 4 position, notice that I'm going to kind of try to keep my back neutral, so I'm not curving it like I'm doing cat-cow, and I'm not going to round it, again, like I'm doing cat-cow. You want to come to neutral. So usually that requires me to tilt my pelvis a little bit inside, tuck that tailbone in, so my low back has a nice straight line. Now it will change as I'm moving, so that is normal, but my starting position, I want to have a nice, strong, straight back and core as I work. So I'm going to take my one leg up, rotate it in towards this elbow. You do not have to put your foot on the ground. It is an extra challenge if you would like to, because you have to lift your hip a little higher. Otherwise, you can just leave it hovering and then rotate it back. Okay, so either rotating it without the foot touching, just towards your elbow, and then back. Or with the foot, bringing it down, rotating it back. Breathe. Go nice and slow. I want these to be really controlled, so think through the process from start to finish. It's not about just throwing that knee towards your elbow, but it's about controlling it. What are your hips doing? What are your obliques doing? Are you able to lift that knee in towards your chest? Inhale and exhale. Breathe. Let's do 2 more. One more. All right, other side. I'm going to turn around so I don't hit the wall. But a good thing about slowing that momentum down, so as you're working on these, that thing that's so hard about control is because so many times when we do a motion, and again here, either putting that foot down or just bringing that knee to your elbow, round it back, is momentum makes a lot of exercises easier because you're moving too fast through the movement to actually get proper control. That's why going so slow in these things, even though it's a gentle movement, makes it seem a lot harder than it really is. Breathe. Again, notice here too, from side to side, does it feel about the same for you? Do your hips feel different from side to side? Is there an area you feel like your oblique might be weaker on this side, for instance? Or maybe it's stronger. Breathe. 2 more. All right, that's it. Bring it back. We're going to go right back onto our backs, and we're going to go into those hip thrusts again. Noticing here might feel a little bit different because your hips are now totally warmed up. So on your back, feet are again not close to your glutes, but just naturally far enough away. They're kind of underneath a little underneath your knees, a little angled out actually. And then you're bringing that body up, finding that straight line, and then pushing those glutes towards the ceiling. Breathe. And also, as I'm doing this, something a little extra, push those knees out to the side. So as I come up, squeeze these glutes. I'm also going to spread my knees apart so I can focus on the outer part of my glutes, which can have a lot to do with lower back pain. Is that glute medius And in general, weaker glutes can cause a lot of back pain because your back has to take over some of the responsibilities that the glute should have. Breathe. Go at your own pace here. You can go a little bit faster than I am. I'm trying to keep good control throughout the movement, so I want to go really slow. But you do not have to go quite as slow as I am if you want to go a little bit faster. Breathe, bring it out. And in. Remember, you're not crunching your low back here, you're squeezing the glutes. And in. Good, up, open. 3 more. We're only doing 2 rounds of these. Good, 2 more. Pushing through those heels. Good. And open, last 1. Lowering down. We are going to do 1 more round of those hip rotations, but just between these rounds really fast, let's do some reclined 90-90 on the floor. So our legs are just going to go back and forth. Arms can be on our stomach or out like a cactus or out like a T to the side. Alternating back and forth. Seeing if they feel any looser. All right, 1 more on each side. Rotate one way, then the other. And now we're going to go on to all 4 once again. All right, so coming on to all 4, we're going to be doing the same thing as before. Nice and controlled, right? Keeping that neutral spine when we come in. Rotate towards that hand. Rotate back. We are going to add on something here at the end. Give ourselves a little rotation with our upper body. So when we finish with this one, we'll add that. Good, bring it back. Keep it controlled. Good. 1 more. Keep this foot up here. So even if you rotated with your elbow to your knee, go ahead and put your foot down anyways, because you'll want to be in this position. From here, we're going to open up towards this leg, look up towards the ceiling, and breathe. Now also, while you're here, I want you to drop this knee out to the side, but keep this foot on the ground. Breathe. Good. Bring that hand forward. Rotate to the other side. Now this time the knee is not going to fall out because it's going to be pushing up against my arm, and my arm is going to help it to not fall in towards me. So my arm is kind of working as a little stabilizer for this leg. Open up, look up towards that ceiling. Breathe. And bring it forward. Now, we're going to rotate this leg back, but we're going to come into kind of like a different kind of pigeon pose before we move on to the other side. So this leg is going to rotate back. And as I'm doing that, I'm sinking back. Come forward a little bit. I'm going to sink back and kind of come into this pigeon pose, right? So my leg is coming out at an angle. It's not coming straight out from behind me. It's coming out at an angle. And then I'm going to come forward again. So we're on all fours. This leg is going to go back, reaching over. So it's like I'm touching, if you could see the wall, I'm touching the wall almost. So I'm crossing over that ankle and then sinking back. Breathe, come forward, go back. Come forward and back. Even if you are going straight back behind you, that's okay too, because that's like regular pigeon. This is again just a little different modified version of pigeon. Go back and forward. Back. Let's do one more. Good. And back to all fours. We're going to go on to the other side. Breathing in, rotating that leg in and out. In. Remember, it's all about that control. And that lift of the leg. This is also an extremely good exercise if you've ever wanted to try to do crow. So crow is that hand, your hands are on the ground and your feet lift off. Your knees are usually resting right above your elbows as you kind of hover above the ground. This is an excellent drill to get those abs working for that specific pose. We're not going to do it today though, guys, don't worry. Good. Breathe. Let's do two more. On this last one, we're staying at the front, bringing our foot up to our hand, rotating out and open, kind of sinking into those hips. Remember, we're letting our knee drop to the side, but keeping our foot on the ground completely. Twisting and looking up towards the ceiling. Breathe. Good. Now bring that hand down. Bring it right next to that foot. Using this arm as a brace, almost rotate open towards the other side. And bring it down. Now, same thing here. We're going to bring this leg back, rotating it over this ankle and sinking all the way back into it. Breathe. Come forward again. Shifting it over and back. And forward and back. Forward and back. One more. And up again. All right, we're gonna go back into those 90-90 hip rotations now. So just like where we started, hands can come behind you. If you can do it without your hands behind you, you can just sit up and do it. But just like the straddle stretch, if you can't sit up comfortably with a nice straight neutral spine, then you'll want to keep your arms behind you. I'm going to keep them behind me because it feels better today to do that instead of sitting up all the way. So again, rotating, seeing if there's a difference with how your hips feel now versus earlier. Breathe. Feels a little bit more comfortable, I know, for this leg to go onto the ground now than it did before. Now we're going to go a little bit deeper now. So on this rotation, whichever side you are, go ahead and bring that arm around and rotate from your torso. You're going to twist from your torso. It sounds like a Shelley sold seashells on the seashore kind of rhyme going. You're going to twist from the torso and really wring it out. So your hips are still kind of driving forward this direction, right? And so I'm only twisting from my torso It's like I'm trying to make my chest parallel to this leg. Now I'm not going to get there, but I'm still trying to get that deep twist. I'm going to breathe and hold. Now if you feel like you want to take it a little bit deeper, walk your hands out further, like so, or drop to your elbow of both, one or both. So you can drop to the elbow that is furthest away from this leg, and then you can drop to the other one to see if it feels comfortable, because that's going to deepen that twist. Breathe. And again, if you feel like taking it even deeper, you can rest your head on the ground, or if you have a pillow nearby, you could rest it on the pillow. And come down and breathe. If you're on the ground, take at least 5 to 6 breaths here before you start coming back up. Slowly start to bring your arms up. And from here, you're not going to come all the way up. You're actually going to walk your hands over to right around your knee. So right around here. Now, if you are pregnant or you have any kind of where it's just uncomfortable to bend in that direction, you can come over to more your shin, because you're going to have more space here than if you stay above your knee, because your leg's going to get in the way. So either way, you're going to come then down again onto your forearms. Again, if you're pregnant, you're going to come over your shin. If you feel like it, you can try to go onto your forearms if it feels comfortable. Everything is if it feels comfortable, or stay on your hands. This is going to change the stretch just a little bit different, make it more focused on your glute. So either way, breathe. This variation, specifically the reason I love doing this one over typical pigeon is because it's really good for nerve pain in your back. So stretching out your hamstring is not good if you have nerve pain in your lower back. It can make it worse. So this variation of it is a good way to stretch that area without overdoing it on the nerve. Again here, if you would like to take your head all the way to the ground, or if you have a pillow, you can rest it here and breathe. We're going to hold this one for a little bit longer than the other side, or the other stretch, I should say. Let's take about 12 breaths here. Last breath. Slowly bring your hands up. Rotate over to the other side. Scoot around. Rotate over to the other side. If you use the pillow like I did, make sure you toss it over to the other side so you have it available. You're going to, again here, Bring those hands around you. So you are trying to get that chest to be in line with that leg as best you can, right? So twisting out that torso, bringing it out, holding it here. We have to get this side warmed up to the twist now. I'm guilty of wanting to like rush into a movement because I've already done the other side, and so I'm warmed up, right? But you have to treat each side like you're starting from the beginning, because you are. Reaching around every time you exhale, twisting that torso a little bit deeper. Breathe. And right, if you're feeling comfortable, bring out those hands, or going down all the way onto your forearms. Hold here before you go any deeper. All right, if you feel like going deeper, go ahead and put that head on the ground. Stay here. Breathing nice and deep. Two more breaths. All right, come up nice and slow. Walking now over to that knee, or again, that other variation of walking in front of your shin, whatever feels most comfortable. Bring it out. Now this side, you're a little bit warmed up, so you can go down onto those forearms a little sooner. If you feel like you're ready to do it, you can go down a little bit deeper. Or again, just stay on those hands. You don't have to go deeper. I'm going to go ahead and go onto my forearms. I am going to use that pillow. We're going to be taking about 12 breaths here. So take it nice and slow. Let your body weight kind of just lean into that leg, stretch out that glute and that hip a little bit deeper. One deep breath in, exhale, go ahead and come up nice and slow. Move the pillow out of the way. I'm going to rotate right onto my back, and we're going to be doing something kind of like a reverse pigeon in a way. And now our hips are nice and warmed up to this, but it still can be kind of intense. Your one leg is going to be straight, one leg is going to be bent. So your right leg, like mine, if you're doing your right side, my right leg is going to come up towards my chest. And what I want to do here is kind of act like I'm doing a single leg happy baby pose, right? So in happy baby pose, normally you hold it, up here, and you're pulling that knee towards the ground. Same kind of idea, except you just need to grab underneath your knee, pull that knee to the side, and then I want you to reach up and grab this heel. Now here, I want you to kind of use this hand to guide your shin towards, and you can move it however you need to do this. You can keep it on top, you can do it from the bottom, whatever you need, because I don't want to just pull on my foot to try to get this in position. I'm trying to bring my heel as close to my shoulder as possible. And as you know, my very tight hips, that's a long ways away. But the idea is there, right? So I'm trying to bring the shin parallel to my body as best as possible. Now I can deepen this a little bit and use this hand, try to move this one out of the way. So if I'm holding this one's going to be pressing against the knee, so I kind of realign it so I can help get that shin into position. So I'm holding onto my heel or onto the top of my foot, and then I'm going to very gently pressing, not on my knee, but on the lower part of my quad, pressing this area, my knee, lower quad, towards the ceiling. And I'm going to breathe here. I'm trying to relax my muscles, so I'm trying to let my hip relax because I am so tight there. Even after all that stretching, it still wants to resist me a little bit. So I'm going to try and focus on breathing, relax that muscle, relax my shoulders. You do want your shoulders to be on the ground. You don't want to be lifted up. Breathe. And relax. Go ahead and drop that leg down to the ground. Bring up your other leg. This time it will be my left leg. Right leg is going to be nice and straightened out. Knee comes in. I'm trying to pull that knee to the outside of my body just to start because I want to be able to reach up towards this heel. Grabbing onto that heel, grabbing onto that ankle, rotating it in towards me. And then now helping out that shin if I need to, adjusting. And now pressing gently against that bottom part of my quad where it kind of attaches into my knee. This one, as I always say, y'all are probably so tired of hearing about my old lady hips, but this side that's always so tight, this one you're not going to see move nearly as much as the other side. Not that the other side moved that much, but you can see how that drop down. My passive range of motion is not very good on this side. So when I try to push it past that point, it wants to just bounce right back. Breathe. Try to focus on relaxing those hips, relaxing those shoulders. Don't let your shoulders hunch up towards your neck. Breathe. Good. Half the battle is just, for me at least, when I'm stretching with these particular hips, is my body kind of just wants to freak out when I'm doing some deeper stretches, and so it's hard to get that stretch and further that mobility because my body just kind of tightens up when it feels I'm trying to stretch it. So I really have to focus on that breathing, relax my body, and relax. Finally, let's bring both of our legs up, and now we're going to just go into a regular old happy baby to take us to the end. Happy baby is any way you can hold those feet. So grab onto those toes, grab onto the outsides of your feet, grab underneath your knees if that feels more comfortable, or even grabbing onto your ankles, literally whatever you can grab onto where you can reach it. Shoulders are going to stay down on the ground. Your feet are not touching. Your feet are lined up over your knees, and your knees are pushing to the outsides of your body. So you're wider than hip width apart right now. Hold here. Sway side to side if that feels good, or just hold it. Breathe. Relax those hips, those same way you've been doing the last several poses where you've had to kind of just breathe through it and relax. those feet. Go ahead and put your feet to the outside of your mat. Knees fall in towards one another. Close your eyes. And I want you to take 5 nice deep breaths. Let your body feel heavy every time you are exhaling. Nice and heavy on the mat, nice and grounded.